He was about 14. I asked him if he ever made it as a rugby player, what would he be happy with when his career was over? He said, I wouldn't be happy unless I was a Lions legend.
Shaking hands with history here.
Yep. Happy for the challenge?
You're not the captain. Very happy.
Captain of the British and Irish Lions, Sam Warburton, has announced his retirement from rugby union at the age of 29.
Courageous decision. It's a brave decision because we know so often sports people keep trying to hang on and hang on and hang on. Look, if the body can't do it and I can't reach the heights, there's no point.
There's no doubting his commitment. For years, he was the leader who gave his all.
I was nervous about carrying on playing. My mindset was gone. I didn't just want to run my body into the ground.
Subacromial impingement, gastric strain, right anterior knee, left posterior cervical spine compression. Patellofemoral issue, zygoma fracture, soleus strain, hamstring tear, hamstring tendon, lumbar spine, zygoma fracture, hematoma, eyelid laceration, hip flexor strain, dislocated shoulder, synovitis, concussion again, rotator cuff injury, patellotendinitis, fracture of the mandible.
Nice.
I'm actually, strangely, quite proud of my injuries because it represents the player that I was. I do like to think I was quite a brave player. Getting tackled or getting hit, you know, I loved it. I always wanted to take more shots. When you're in that deep jackal position and you've got someone who could be 17, 18 stone coming into the side of your knee, you're very vulnerable. When you get looked after very well, you have your medical treatment and then you're back on the horse again 2 days later and that cycle just keeps going. It's not until you actually finish and you don't go through that training and contact and relentless playing and training cycle that you actually get up and you actually start to feel normal. The day I knew I finished, I went on the trampoline with Anna and she was like, "Daddy, bouncy." I actually couldn't stand up on my knees from the trampoline because they were that sore. It shouldn't be this hard to play with my daughter.
He's actually happier. Well, I know he's happier. He knows it's the right decision, it's the right time.
Should we go for 2? 1, 2, 3.
He does spend a lot of time with Anna now, a lot more than he did used to get to spend with her, which is quite nice.
Right.
He always wanted to be able to do the school drop-off and be there for her after school and all that sort of thing, and he will now get that chance.
It's nice in the mornings now that I do basically like sit down with her for an hour and can have breakfast and start the day slow and walk Ledley and stuff.
What do you want next?
Everything always used to be so rushed in the morning. He'd hardly see Anna, and quite often when she was little he wouldn't be home to see her very much in the evenings, so it's lovely for them.
Have you finished your toast?
I was in the bed once, one night upstairs, and I just come back from the gym, so I was a little bit like, you know, you have like the pump, as they say, you're a little bit bigger. I was going, "Anna, look at Daddy, big shoulders like this." And she just pointed at me and she went to my nose and went, "Big nose." I was like, has Daddy got a big nose or a little nose?
Big nose.
Yeah, she's got a little nose. I was like,
oh. Big nose.
Oh, dear.
I can choose what I want to do in the week and I'm still keeping myself busy and doing stuff and I'm still involved in rugby, but I'm just not putting my body on the line like I was, and at the moment I'm really enjoying that. And I'm not going to be naive, I might miss it in years to come, but yeah, right now I'm not missing it. It's actually the first time I've been up here in about, oh my goodness. I would have put all this away after the Lions tour, perhaps 18 months ago. I just noticed these are old bags of boots. I forgot these were in here. They're definitely Lions ones from 2017. Oh, there we are, they're the Lions ones actually. They've been hammered. I actually quite like my house at the minute, not being rugby and just being a normal house where you don't walk in and you're not smacked in the face with memorabilia. And you know, when I come home, I like it to be a place where I come and relax really and got away from rugby. This was probably the ugliest shirt I've got. That's been absolutely ripped to shreds. A little story behind that one, that's when I remember we were playing Scotland and we were winning the game. Somebody made a tackle and I remember just coming in just to finish off. I could just feel my shoulder just sort of in, down towards my chest. And I know where the medics are and I can't say it, but I was like, my shoulder's gone. They had to cut my shirt off. And I'm glad now, I know I'm not going to come back home and I'm going to have my wife when I'm in the shower or the bath leaning over and she's going to have to help me with a flannel, cleaning my armpit, which is stinking because it's been in a sling for days. It's like, you know, that's the stuff I guess people don't see and that I'm not going to miss.
Look at the flowers. You help me rearrange them? He retired 10 times before he actually retired. The number of times he'd come home and say, Rach, I can't do it anymore.
You know, there's an England shirt. We're going to swap that. I'm presuming that's Chris Robshaw's. Yeah, Chris Robshaw England shirt. We swapped a couple of times, had a couple of good battles against each other. To play England in Twickenham, the hype started from like 18, 12 months out, and like everybody was looking forward to this inevitable mammoth game. Probably felt like the most amount of pressure I experienced in a Welsh shirt for sure. Then we went into the changing room, and our changing room was like unusually hot and warm. Someone turned down the changing room heat, for goodness sake, because somebody's having a laugh at you, turning it up. And then the lights went off and it was pitch black in there momentarily and they were coming on again and they'd be going off and, you know, we were all like, oh, they're trying to get under our skin, yeah? You know, and it kind of just added fuel to the fire.
Sam Warburton wraps him up. Just owned it. Good block from...
Certain away games where you do think that you do need to make your presence felt. I remember Dan Lydiate put a tackle in on Tom Wood. He's a brutal tackler and he hit him, and it was almost like an NFL hit where he hit him, he sort of just did like a 180 in the air and went down, and England were complaining he didn't use his arms or anything. But it's just a trademark Dan Lydiate tackle, and England all piled in. I'm then shouting, no penalties, no penalties. My neck was getting tugged, and it got tugged 2 or 3 times. I always ignore those things, I never see red, but I turned round and it was Mike Brown who was tugging me. And I wasn't doing anything wrong, and he was tugging me and giving it the big one, so I just got to politely ask him, what you doing, mate, you know? That was it. But yeah, it's just sometimes, yeah, you need to back your boys, you know.
Brown. One eye on the clock at all times. Penalty England, they had a chance to equalise. Warburton can't quite believe it. And they go for the corner. England go for the corner, they go for the win.
Chris Robshaw was England captain, went for the corner. That's almost, without trying to like dramatise it, like a bit of a personal insult to our line-out maul defence, that the fact that they think they can push us over. You know, the physical challenge has been laid down, and then you've got to answer it. So I remember just walking up and down the line, just screaming at the boys, just trying to motivate them that there is no way that they are ever going to cross our line. It's just not going to happen. You know, when they kick for the corner, like, you're almost looking around like, I try not to swear, but like, I love it. I'm like, oh right, they want to take us on. Oh, it's like that, you know.
Going for the win. A draw still leaves both of these teams in a precarious position.
We celebrated a lot. I remember players like banging their changing room slots and stamping the floor and wanting everyone outside the changing room to hear it as well, to show how much that win meant to us. Probably will go down as one of the greatest ever Wales games, you know.
Victory, so it's definitely up there with my best wins.
Besides retire was the easy thing. The hardest thing was letting the people know, because I just felt I was letting so many people down. I was so physically and emotionally drained from my career. I just didn't have the emotional energy to keep going. So yeah, having to tell Warren Gatland, and I felt like I was letting him down badly.
In many ways, Gat and Sam are very, very different people, but from a rugby context, they've obviously got a burning ambition to be successful and that drive.
I did have a mug of like a Sam Warburton my mum gave me when I like did all the captaincy stuff, so I made sure I put that out of the way, because if you boys caught that on camera, I'd be devastated. Warren came up to me, he asked me to be captain. I said, what about Gethin Jenkins, there's Stephen Jones, Shane Williams, Adam Jones, Alan Wynne-Jones. There's just so many players more experienced than myself. He said, I want you to do it. I want you to be my captain. I said, but I'm not a captain.
I kind of looked at the long-term benefit that we could get from Wales, very similar to Richie McCaw. You know, he played for the All Blacks when he was 19. A few years later, he was made captain, and they got a lot of benefit.
Yeah.
And I saw the same sort of similarities. You know, I thought that.
Yeah, but
you weren't going to be ready at such a young age. It would take you a few years to develop into it. But you know, 28, 29. Unfortunately, he retired a year too early.
I should be at my straps. Yeah. That's what made the decision so much harder, because not that I presumed I was going to be World Cup captain at all, but I was thinking, because I remember I've heard you say that once or twice before, and I thought, like, I did feel I was letting like the union and the team and yourself down quite badly, because I thought, oh, maybe if I was playing well enough, obviously, like, was this the long-term plans? That's why when I said I'm not going to carry on, I thought that was the hardest thing, was telling yourself. I was sat by there, in the garden when you ran me back, and I was literally like this the whole phone conversation, covering my eyes, because I was just gutted having to tell you, you know.
It was disappointing, but for a long time, living the rest of your life, and if your body's going to break down, and it was a sensible decision.
He asked me to be captain, and I said no, but well, I said yes when he rang me on the phone, because the first time was for the Barbarians game. So I said yes, hung up the phone. I had to go straight to the stadium to a press conference. It was that quick. But I thought, right, I've done it once, that's it. And then I did it for the next 2 games against England. That's 3 in max, and then I'm definitely done. And then our normal captain damaged his neck, and he couldn't go on the World Cup. So I was at home thinking, oh my God, he's going to ask me to do it for the World Cup.
I think the fact that Gats trusted in Sam to do his job on the field, knowing what character was off the field.
First World Cup, didn't know what to expect, and literally just played with no fear, and just literally went out there and give it a crack, you know, and that actually worked in our advantage.
These are the faithful fans who have ventured all the way to the other side of the world to see their pride and joy in their wildest dreams. Probably didn't expect to make it as far as the semi-finals.
I just had this feeling of invincibility, like there's no, like we're just going to win.
22-year-old Sam Warburton, what an outstanding tournament he has had.
That's always the killer now. You let it go, because it is what it is, but there's always that what-if question, and well, no one knows, do you?
Yeah, well, I suppose, you know, one of the biggest games is in my coaching career, you know, with that first 17 minutes, I was sitting in the box and just was calm.
And the referee sounds the whistle. The first semi-final is underway. This is a good start by the Welsh. And good defence by Warburton. They're getting numbers to the ball too. So James Hook. Oh, he's judged it beautifully. What a start. Now Phillips works it off to Warburton. And down he goes. Good run by Sam Warburton. Looks across. Look as though they may be interested in running this line-out ball if they can do it right. And Yashvili takes it back in.
It's false on click, and oh no, that's not good. Well, you can see why Dusatoir is upset, but Warburton is in big trouble now.
Hit him, and I remember he went flying up in the air, and I remember thinking, oh my God, this has spiraled out of control. And then all these French players started like flying into me, trying to grab me and like throw uppercuts and stuff, and then I had no idea what was going on. He was on the floor, and then I looked at the referee. There was no negotiation about it. It was just that it showed me a red card.
It was just sheer shock, really, that when Alan Roland did give the red. If he'd stayed on the field, then no doubt Wales would have won that game. You know, if they'd had 15 men and would have been in a World Cup final.
I didn't see the red card. I was just watching the tackle in there, and the card came out so quick. It just happened before.
God, I remember Jenks asked me when I sat down. He's like, "What are you doing?" So I just said, "I'm off." And I didn't know what to say either. So I was like, "Off." He went, oh. He's like, "Keep warm then." I was like, "No, I'm red, not like Simbin. I'm off."
Just how quickly that red card was given without sort of, you know, just taking a little bit of time, consultation. You know, how big the match was, you know, how many people were watching around the world and stuff, and so, yeah, and we got so close to making the World Cup final.
And the tough thing was I sat down on the side of the pitch and there was a camera for the rest of the first half just in my face. He didn't move and he was obviously just waiting for me to complain, show any emotion. I'm going to go home, I'm going to be like the Welsh villain and everyone's going to hate me. 2 days after that game, we were walking to the disciplinary hearing. There must have been like 200-300 people like drinking on the streets. I remember thinking, oh God, this is going to be a nightmare. The first bar all stood up and just started like clapping and cheering. The bar opposite did the same. And almost like a Mexican wave went down, everybody stood up. And I was like, flipping heck, like that was probably the most emotional thing I've been through. It was the first time I realised that if I'm gone now. It was the first time I realised everyone had my back and it was just like so overwhelmingly nice. I came home then and then I'd be in like Sainsbury's supermarket. Women were just like running up to me, hugging me. And I was like, flipping heck, I thought I was going to come home and be this like absolute, oh God, be this absolute villain. But instead, almost like everybody went the complete opposite. Oh, it was so nice. But yeah, that was weird. Sorry. That was gone. That was gone. So if you were there in Eden Park or in Auckland that day, yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it was nice.
There you go, little boy.
Hi, yeah. Rachel sent me to get the flowers. So yeah, and the strict orders again.
Thank you very much, Trace.
But although Sam was shy, he always had something in him. I used to call him the Hulk. Because when he was on the pitch, if somebody got the better of him, took the ball off him or flattened him in a tackle, I used to say, you watch him now, I used to call him the Hulk, because he'd literally see it in his face, and obviously legally he would get them back. And it just used to fire him up, didn't it? He used to switch. I never, when he was little, ever would have dreamt that he'd be Lions captain or Wales captain. I wouldn't, if I'm honest. But he had something inside him, he was very determined. Hi, Sam.
Hi,
how are you, love?
Good.
He was about 14. I asked him if he ever made it as a rugby player, what would he be happy with? You know, I said, like, do you want to be professional, you know, play for the Blues or maybe get a cap for Wales? And he just said, I wouldn't be happy unless I was a Lions legend. And I said to him, you know, you can't say that, Sam. The chance of that is virtually, not knocking you, but, you know, they're very few and far between. But right from the outset, that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to play for the Lions and be the best he possibly could. And, you know, fortunately, it worked out for him.
He was naturally skinny, I'd say. They wanted Sam to get up at one stage to about 17 stone. He used to eat and eat and eat, and that used to worry me. He would vomit because he'd eaten so much. He was eating like every few hours, and I really didn't like that. And I used to think he did too much weight training as well. He was obsessed by weight training and strength. He just wanted to be the biggest, best, strongest. When he got injured, I did find it hard, but you do get used to it. I mean, Sam's very physical in his position. A couple of times he got knocked out. Thank you. But I know that's just the nature of the game. But as a mum, it is hard because you don't want to see your son being permanently, you know, hit. Bring back lots of memories.
There you go. Disney World.
That's how I remember you when you were little. Oh, just best friends.
Yeah.
Very first memory, obviously, when I went to hospital. Jez was holding Holly at the end of the bed and they scanned me. And I can just remember Jez's face and he dropped Holly. The woman just said, "Are you ready for this? You've got two."
Never expected it in a million years. You just don't go to see the scan and expect that the nurse is going to say there's two. And I was looking at the screen and I could see the two bodies and I just assumed it was a split screen.
Ben was only 3.5 pounds or just over, And Sam actually was heavier, but he was worse. He was in intensive care for quite a bit.
So he was injured when he was born, so nothing changed.
Sam's brother, Ben, and his wife, Rhian, they got married in the summer. They have just bought our house, which is directly opposite, so we look out and we can see them.
When Ben's home, I try not to bother him too much. I know that's when he's away from being a physio, but inevitably you get loads of people asking you, don't you, to give him treatment and that. It's just...
nature of the job, I guess.
Yeah. Sometimes I have to give Ben a ring because he's got the blind up in the bathroom. I'm like, Ben, just to let you know, the whole street can see you naked in the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's weird, don't you think about being a twin when you're a kid? All right, okay. You're just a kid, you just play football and do kid things. And then maybe I remember year 6, I think we swapped classes for the first time and give that a go. And that was when we found out that being twins is quite funny. I think when you're 10, 11, that's when you start to get a little bit of courage and you start to mess about a little bit and you know what it's like. And that's where you start playing teacher prank jokes and all that type of stuff. So I think that's when we first probably, like, it felt like you had a twin, if you know what I mean.
I think because we were like best of friends and we wanted each other to achieve, it's just like constantly always having that support with you. I think that's why we were so competitive, because each other, not because we wanted to beat each other, because we wanted each other to be so good, you know.
When it got to maybe late teenagers, that's when you could tell he was going one way and I was going another. And I think then, like, that kind of competitive edge against each other, that then became support. Well, I was his biggest fan then, so when he meets people and they say, I'm your biggest fan, I'm thinking, no, you're not, I am.
If I could play a good game, I knew Ben would get a load of satisfaction out of that, so I did used to think a lot of the time I would think in the anthem of my brother and think of Ben, I would play for him. Four or 5 months after the red card, I was walking into Twickenham. I remember an England fan just shouted, Warburton, you're shit, and it was a red card. So I remember thinking, oh, right, OK. And I did after the game, you know, even though he never would be. I remember I had my man of the match medal, and if he was outside of the players' dressing room, I would have put it over his neck.
Class moment.
I went to Warren Gatland and I said, oh, you've got to lift the trophy, because I didn't want to lift it. I'm smiling, but I'm actually embarrassed, like, to lift it up because I didn't feel I deserved it. Even though you're captain throughout the campaign, I just felt if I couldn't contribute on the field, I felt guilty. I absolutely love training. And I've always done it since I was young. I've loved it, and yeah, some players might retire and never train again. I won't run, mind. I don't think I'll run. I hate running because of my knees and stuff, and as a player I always used to hate running, but I love weight training. I got a key for this place, and me and my brother would come in and train and do all like our extra weight stuff. And it's great for me because it's so quiet. It's in the corner of the car park, out the way. This is all you need to get fit. Like, you can have all the high-tech equipment in the world, but this section alone, you can get in fantastic shape by just using all this gear. It's no thrills what's in here, but I think that's why I like using it. Sometimes you just want to get, it's like a dirty, dusty, old, rusty gym, and there's like spiders up in the corners here and stuff, and you know, I like that sort of Rocky-esque type gym. I can come down on my Todd, no one knows I'm here. Turn up music as loud as I want, and no one knows about it, you know. I love listening to metal music when I wasn't captain. My dad introduced me to Anthrax. He'd always text me for every game, like, good luck, Sam, blah, blah, blah. And I could tell he'd be really aggressive on the other side of the phone because he'd have in capitals then with like 10 exclamation marks, refused to be denied. It was kind of about the red card when I got sent off and you bounce back. Part of me wants to go back into that mindset that I had when I was like a young kid, where I just wanted to just go out and just be physically. I'm at my happiest when I'm in the gym, and even when I went on holiday to the Maldives, and every day I had to train. And Rachel was like, "Oh, can you have you have a drink tonight?" I'm like, "No, I'm going to train in the morning." It's like, you're off though. Like it's a honeymoon.
Flames rise high at the Principality Stadium. Wales's last test of the autumn series at home against South Africa.
So off to the Principality Stadium today, just doing a bit of hospitality and TV stuff, which is kind of the new day job now, really, which I quite enjoy. People ask if I get nervous to do television stuff, but it's a piece of cake compared to playing. I'm going to go check in with the BBC guys, and I'm going to park next door, so I got my car park pass and head back out. All right, cheers guys, see you in a bit. Being a player, it's just full of stress and nerves and anxiety and pressure. It was tough, like it was a hard career, and that's why it was cut short. I found it very hard playing pro rugby. So I used to like beat myself up over bad games and be in hiding. I wouldn't even go to the local supermarket the day after. I'd go late, or my wife would get the food or whatever. Basically what I'm saying is that's what they got to do. That's quite a good example of what they have got to do. Yeah. See, if you pause that, sorry. I've been asked if I would still be playing if I wasn't captain, and if I'm being brutally honest, the answer might be yes, because the toll physically has been huge, but like mentally it's been probably just as big. I'm not moving any better downstairs these days. There we are. I always remember what my brother says. He's always used to say, like, it might be your 100th, but it's always there first. And everybody's polite when they ask for a photo. There we are. Lovely, no worries, nice one. It's actually quite nice because, you know, one day I'm going to be, you know, old and grey, and not many people are going to remember who I am. If people want to ask for a photo, it's a compliment, isn't it, you know? I had my time as a player in the limelight, and now it's over, and I don't, you know, I can accept that really. So maybe that'll change as time goes on. I don't think it will, but I just enjoy watching it now from a fan's perspective, which is great. Between like the ruck and maybe the first 6 defenders, yeah, every team comes off hard. That's the easy bit. It's like whether they can continue to come up outside. Like Sam Warburton, 1, 2, 3. It was the first time this campaign where I watched the anthem and I sort of looked up to where I would normally look up to see Rachel, and she's obviously not there, and not having that quite special moment, knowing that's not going to happen again, that was quite weird. Look, Peter Pan's coming, he's flying.
We love Rabina. We all wanted to stay in Rabina. We're all really close. We speak every day, if not see each other every day.
So, what did Dad say to you when he was drunk?
I'm going to marry you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
And he didn't know that either. He didn't know that.
He was right, I couldn't do anything about it.
He's always been better than me in sport.
I haven't.
You have. So when he was under 15s, I think it was, and I won it, and because he's usually better than me at everything, he was absolutely fuming. And that's why he's just brought it up now, 15 years later. So yeah, it's true.
I wasn't better at everything.
Most things.
I wasn't.
But, yeah.
You better at golf?
Yeah. The one sport.
I suppose I kind of mothered them a little bit because I'm obviously older, not by much, but I've always kind of looked after them.
I got sin-binned because someone said, "Why didn't you play for Wales then?" So I ended up just choking him on the floor. And then,
as you do.
And then I got made alongside of a tackle and got knocked out, and then I got taken to A&E, didn't I? That was my last game of rugby ever. I'm quite proud of that, actually.
England looking for the Grand Slam. Wales with a chance to take the title.
We went into the stadium, and then, because none of us already won the trophy before, we didn't know what happens when you try and defend it the next year. They just had the Six Nations trophy on like a plinth, And we all sort of walked past it, and like it's always dead silent because boys have got their headphones on and stuff. But everyone sort of walked in, they saw it there, and like it was looking lovely, it was gleaming, you know. And then boys didn't touch it; they all sort of just like sort of like a river, sort of just went to either side of it. But everyone sort of stared at it, and then like I don't know, it just made you sort of think that there was no way that that wasn't going to come back in the changing room after that 80 minutes. We walked out for kick-off, and all you can hear is this weird, like, thunderous, like, rumbling noise above you. And then the stadium just opens up, and 3 tiers just shoot up in front of you, and then all the noise is hitting you, and the flames go up, and you run out into the pitch. The hype around it was just enormous, absolutely massive. We had to beat England by quite a big margin. All the odds were against us. I'm literally ready to, like, let rip.
Wales can win the title. England can win the title. Sam Warburton, hands off Owen Farrell.
It was a tight game. The score doesn't reflect how tough the game was.
Penalty to England. This could be important.
I remember just going into the ruck just to protect the ball for our number 9 to pass it to normally your number 10 who kicks it long. But the ball was there, and like you just like scan in front, you could just see like a little bit of space, so instinctively just picked it up and ran.
The Welsh team, Sam Warburton, storms away!
Next thing you know, I'm running in a massive amount of space, and I can just hear the whole crowd behind me almost like pushing me along. I remember seeing Owen Farrell in front of me. I was like, right, I can either go right, or I can either sidestep left. And before I knew it, I just ran straight into him.
Sam Warburton tried the Maori sidestep in the end.
I knew I was almost helpless in what was going on, because they were down the right flank about to score his try. And I remember just like looking at it, but you can't see anything apart from just like white and red jerseys, just like all running round, going towards his touchline. And you're just there, just praying it's going to go over. And then suddenly you just see like a red shirt diving, and then all the crowd jumping up to celebrate.
Wales are storming to the title!
And as soon as his arm went up for try, I remember I just punched the ground as hard as I could. It was just like relief, happiness. I remember looking at all the players, and we were just like, there's no way on earth they're ever taking this game away from us.
That's it. It's celebration time at the Millennium Stadium. The title goes to Wales.
Absolutely everything that could have gone right for Wales went right. And to come back, and England were coming for the Grand Slam, and like all the ingredients were there to make it amazing, and the way we did it to win so convincingly, that was just like a one-off freakish experience in a good way. Like never, by far, that's a standalone game for me in my whole career.
They have won by 27 points. Wales 30, England.
I knew after those 2 games I get picked for the Lions, because they're 2 games under like the most pressure, which replicate a Lions tour, and I came out on top. I knew I cemented my journey to get selected for the Lions. When I was younger, looking up at British Lions, they were like my all-time like heroes. They were gods of rugby. You can't put into words how special it was for me to play for them. So, yeah, being asked to be captain on my very first tour was a baptism of fire. I was at my parents' house, and the phone just went Gats. I just thought, well, you don't call me to say if you're in the squad. It's either that I'm captain, or it's to explain out of respect why you're not involved at all. So it was like quite a nerve-wracking call to take, you know.
The leadership now is key. The next score is everything.
I got hit, my legs snapped back. It's like if someone had a kitchen knife and, without you knowing, stuck it in the back of your leg as hard as they could. I remember actually trying to get back in the defensive line, pointing to Will Genia, telling him I had 9. If he ran at me, I wouldn't have done anything. I wouldn't have been able to move. As long as he could hear me saying that he was marked up, and at least he might think he was marked up.
Just shows the toughness of him and the bravery, just, yeah, rather than hold your hamstring, get in the defensive line.
And then as soon as the whistle went for the end of that play, I remember just hitting the deck, laying on my back. I knew that was it. And they said to me, actually, like, oh, right, we'll get a stretcher. And I remember thinking, like, whatever you do, don't get a stretcher. I'm walking off. I can't be seen being carried off this pitch. And I walked off the pitch. And, yeah, I knew that was my tour over.
When you get injured, do you stay around for the final game? You know, he could obviously still inspire with what he said in team meetings, even though he wasn't going to be playing. I remember seeing him in the gym. Yeah, he was back in lifting weights, wanting to put on like a kilo of muscle before he went home. I was kind of think, you know, have a cold beer. But that's not his way.
The first year we went out, his parents told me afterwards, he used to make himself sick. An hour before, he'd run upstairs and he'd be sick in the toilet because he was so nervous. And they used to just look at each other and say, he's going out with Rachel tonight.
We didn't really speak to each other much. We didn't want people to know we were seeing each other. So we went out with the school and she went to give me a present by her car. And I noticed there was a post box. I was like, hang on a second. I need to go beyond this post box. I remember going beyond the post box. I just threw up everywhere, just nervous. Then, like, took the presents off her and then back into school. And that went on for about a year, and I finally got over it. And then she introduced me to her parents that started all over again. So I had a tough first few years with Rach. I lost a lot of weight.
Of course, we're coming down now to...
Oh, my wife.
There she is.
You know, she hates this picture. So if we could do a zoom in on there, that'd be fantastic.
I think she looks really good.
Oh, she must have been about 13, 14 there. One summer, I was announced captain for the Lions. Geraint won the first stage of the Tour de France, got the yellow jersey for stage, and then Gareth won the Champions League, and it's just like all within 1 month. High-protein school dinners, it must have been. What I loved about Steve was I could tell what he was like as a player from what he's like as a coach, because he was obviously quite an aggressive number 7. Like myself, I'm quite an aggressive number 7, so I used to love it when he'd give me a command to do something on the field. I remember there was a guy who was sort of running riot for, was it Meath College we played, wasn't it?
Yes,
Meath
yes.
College. I remember you just put your arm around me and said, see that big one by there? Yeah, get on and hit him as hard as you can.
Me, I mean, I think, okay, I was so battered, okay, if I was a horse, they would have shot me, to be very honest with you.
My one teacher was really influential, Gwyn Morris. We were in year 8 and he came to the school. I remember seeing him march across the playground and we were thinking, oh my goodness, that's the new head of PE. And I loved his attitude, military in his preparation, always demanded the highest standards. Like he was in a professional outfit, but I love that.
Sometimes I don't think that he believed what he could do.
If I could just have 2 guys who were in partners.
He was our high jumper in school, and we were at a coding competition, and we needed him to get over 170 to get the points we required. And Sam turned around and said, "Oh, Mr. Morris is up to 170." He said, "I can't jump 170 because his PB was 165." I said, "No, what?" I went across and, "No, Sam, it's 160. "Oh, that's all right then." So he jumps and he clears it comfortably, and then he goes, bar's going up to 175, and he just turned and looked at me. I just walked away.
And hold it there. Are we ready?
If I'm going to play 7 for the Lions, which I'm going to do, no one's going to stop me. I've got to be better than not even just the number 7 who wants to wear the 7 shirt for Whitchurch in my school, or for Cardiff, for that age group, or for Wales. I've got to be better than that opposite number over a 10-year, 15-year age range as well, because you can play from Lions when you're 20 to 35. And then you've got to throw in England, the whole of England, the whole of Scotland, the whole of Ireland. I've got to emerge as that one best guy. So this guy I'm playing against for the school can't be as good as me. He just can't, because I'm going to play for Lions. He can't. If I can play for Lions, he can't be as good as me. That's just like my mindset when I played.
You were referee in Romania, Russia, because that was a World Cup qualifier. But then quarter-final of the World Cup, going out for the quarter-final of the World Cup.
You only had the whistle, you never had the ball.
No, you're right.
Both of them added up together were a great combination in nurturing me into the person I am today.
So you just be on his back like this, just holding on to him, your feet off the floor.
I hated dealing with referees when I was younger because I'm like quite a, I guess, like softly spoken, hated confrontation, like nice guy. I hated complaining referee decisions. And I thought that was like the right way to go about it, because that's what you see. You just see captains moaning at referees all the time. But I think actually what I thought was my biggest weakness became actually probably one of my biggest strengths. You always said to me, ask a question, don't make a statement, because you're making it more of a two-way thing, and rather than having a go at you all the time, you want to try and engage a bit and not be so aggressive, I think, you know. And yeah, I first heard that from yourself, and I thought, well, if you're right, you've got to treat people human, I think, you know, otherwise you're just going to...
Respect goes two ways.
Yeah. The opportunity you've got now as 16, 17, 18-year-olds, like, grab it with both hands. It feels like a click of a fingers ago when I was you guys' age.
It's odd in a way that you sit down, and sometimes I know it may sound a bit corny, but it's like watching your son play in a way. He's the same person now when he left school, still as humble, still as competitive, and what he's achieved is achieved because of his personality and the way he's been brought up.
So this is where we used to hang around when we were younger a lot. Over there was like the kids who used to skateboard. Then there was us boys who used to play football and stuff all the time, and used to clash a little bit. Something must have happened before they weren't happy with what we did. I don't know what it was, and one of the older brothers came marching down the road, and I got a mate who's still one of my best pals now. I remember he grabbed him, he threw him into the corner of this fence and started kicking him. I hate bullying, and I always have done. So I was like, come after me then, like someone who's more your own size, you know, rather than pick on the smallest guy like a coward. And this kid was 3 or 4 years older than me in school, because I remember he was a year above my sister. And to be fair to him, he came over and he did clock me a proper one right in the face. The red mist just came over, and I just remember just grabbing him and just throwing as many as I could, just like haymakers everywhere. I kind of felt like watching him walk away, like, it's very like primal, like animal instinct, like, you know, that would have been for me like a little victory kind of thing. From then on, I felt so much more confident about myself, and I always remember that. That was quite a significant moment for me, I think. Well, I'm the sort of person, if a builder comes over the house and I don't like what he's done, I don't really tell them to their face. I just rather the easy life. I'm like, oh, I can't be bothered. Or if I get the wrong soup in a restaurant, I'm not going to complain I got the wrong soup. I just think some things are better left unsaid. But in rugby, it can't be that way, because it's, you know, it's a league sport. You have to question things. But I just figured out there was ways around doing that, you know, rather than the stereotypical ways of shouting at someone and pointing the finger, whatever. That's not how you do it. You know, you've got to try and enter a conversation and negotiate rather than just state negative facts all the time. Putting things black and white and shouting at someone, I don't think many people respond to that, to be honest. You know, I certainly don't anyway.
It is hard to remember a series in the history of the game with such a build-up. At last, we are away. Here's Cody Taylor. They have lost the first test, and conclusively, New Zealand win at Eden Park. And Watson. Ryan's not happy about that challenge.
All our players like kicked off, and I didn't go up to the referee, and they were all moaning at me to get into the referee, and I was like, no, leave him alone. There's no point in wasting my chips and going over to him and just shouting the obvious. He's watching it back like all of us. We can all see it clear as day. Don't bother going up to him and wasting your time on it. I'd rather wait for more of a 50-50 call where you might actually need to go up to the referee and speak for that decision. Just trust he's going to make the right decision, and he did.
That is a massive moment in the context of this series. Faletau! Oh, David Faletau! A great finish from Faletau. This is it! The Lions will level the series. They have their cup final.
I remember he said, oh, this is fantastic, you can tell your grandkids, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, no, we haven't won the series. You know, we've only won a game. If we win the series, I'll celebrate. I will celebrate if we beat them twice, because, you know, it's not a fluke, but you can beat someone once. and you can have a bit of the rub of the green, whatever. If you beat them twice, you're better than them.
It's a captain that you love to look at and see that he's working hard and you just followed suit, and he's one of these guys that you'd follow into battle.
The New Zealanders will say it very openly. Outside World Cup final, Test match against the Lions is the biggest game they can play. So as captain, the responsibility is being able to make sure you deliver with that badge.
We were drawing with like a minute to go. New Zealand kicked off. Literally all I said was probably, can you check please, are you sure? And Keane Reid then was following him around trying to speak to him a lot. And then I could tell he was speaking to someone, and that's all I needed to know. I just needed to know that he was having another look, and the occasion was way too big to make a snap decision.
Having that opportunity just to get into his ear, just to have a little question and have a look at it, him to reflect on it, them to have a chat, you know, was pretty special.
Just the way that he managed and handled himself, he didn't seem flustered or phased at all, and really got his point across well that made the referee question himself.
To me, it was a penalty, and at the time it was a penalty, and I'm listening, I've got the headphones on, I can hear the conversation, you hear what's going on, and there's no doubt his calmness persuading the referee to actually kind of rethink the whole thing through. To me, it was the decision being made.
All he could hear on the ref's mic was Kieran Reid all game. Can't hear Sam. And then, you know, one time that Sam really he could hear was that question. And I think that ultimately that was the decision made for the referee, why he did double check and why he changed his decision.
I can understand that Kieran Reid would be put out with that decision. I'd be put out if I was the All Black captain myself.
Let's come here. Come on. Good boy. Let's go swim.
The amount of people, I think, then probably the stuff that you wouldn't have heard, that they thought the way that you led the team in New Zealand, the way that you portrayed yourself, you know, over the tour, they were incredibly impressed, and I thought you was incredibly credible in terms of the way that you did lead the Lions.
If he wasn't the best player, he was going to die trying to be the best player. At training, in matches, it was just trying to get every ounce he possibly could out of his performance. And if that doesn't lead and inspire, I don't know what does.
Even now, after all he's achieved, he's one of the most humble guys and respectful men you'll ever meet.
He's right up there with the top Lions captains. He's certainly up there with the best Wales have ever had.
He's exactly the same as he is now than he was when he was 18.
One of my best mates, he is a hell of a player, but he's, more than anything, he is a hell of a man.